Alrighty, so we have reached the halfway point here in the season, and it is time for the All-Star Break update. You know the drill at this point. This is a stats episode. We go through how the teams have been doing here at the standings, and then take a look at the red stats also around the league, and then do a little bit of a preview of the trade deadline. So let's just hop straight into it here. But the first thing I do want to show is that JD Martinez is actually in the home run derby this year. He has 27 home runs at the All-Star Break. But now let's take a look at the standings throughout the league. In the National League over in the East, the Phillies are sitting in first place in that division, while the Braves are only 3.5 games back. Over in the Central, the Cubs are just totally running away with the division. As we've seen so far here in the season, we are in second place, 12.5 games back, sitting at 51-46 on the year. And then over in the West, it's the Dodgers, who are even more of a wagon than the Cubs, leading the Padres by 19.5 games, and they have the same record as us. Flip things over to the American League side of things, and the East is the most mediocre division possible. The Blue Jays are currently in first place, sitting at 49-49 on the season. Yanks 1 game behind them, Rays 2 games behind them, and then also the Red Sox are 4.5 games back, and then the Orioles can't even compete in this division. Well, in the Central, you have the White Sox who are sitting out front. The Tigers are only 1 game back, though. And then even the Twins are still in it, sitting in last place at 6.5 games out of first place. Well, over in the West, you have the Astros, who are tied with the Angels for first place, and then the Mariners are only 1 game behind them. The Rangers are well above 500 as well, and they are 5 games back. So now let's take a look at how the Reds have been doing here in 2024. The best bat on the team by far, once again, has been JD Martinez. He is raking this season, a .930 OPS, 27 home runs, like I said, good enough to get him in home run derby here at the All-Star break. 81 runs driven in already, 20 doubles, just been phenomenal for us at the DH the past 2 seasons. And then we have Jonathan India, who is heating up a little bit, OPS up to 735, OBP is still below 300, walking 6.7% of the time, most errors on the team. I mean, he just needs to be better. Then you got Tyler Stevenson, who has been performing very well this season. Loving that he's finally hitting how you would expect with his ratings. 824 OPS, 13 home runs, 20 doubles, working a similar walk rate that Taylor Walls is. Second highest WAR on the team. Very impressed by him. Then you have Brian Anderson, who has been very disappointing. Signed him to a 3-year deal in the offseason. Not a great start to that contract. A 678 OPS, only a 315 OBP, even with his 99 plate discipline rating. He has been a fantastic defender, though. You'll see that he has a lot of assists, but that's because he has played some games at third base as well. And obviously, you're going to get more assists playing third than you are right field. So don't look at that number and be like, "Whoa, he has a crazy amount of outfield assists." There's no way to look at just outfield assists in this game because, of course, there isn't. Then you have Taylor Walls, who, I just love this guy. This guy is honestly one of my favorite players on the team. 865 OPS. Who could have ever seen that coming from him? 865 OPS. OBP is almost at 400. 398 OBP. Hitting above 300 as well. 12 steals. Gold Glove caliber defense. Highest WAR on the team here at the All-Star break. What else could you ask for from your shortstop? But then we have another disappointing player in Robbie Grossman, 708 OPS. He's been fantastic with the Tigers in this series. When he played for them, we signed him to the 1-year deal thinking he's going to be fantastic for us. Turns out he's very bad. But Elly De La Cruz is someone who has not been bad. He has actually been very impressive here in his short time in the big leagues. 872 OPS, 7 home runs, 11 steals already. Been playing a very solid third base as well. Even has got some time at shortstop when Walls needs a rest. Plays a great shortstop as well. 8.2 walk percentage is not the best, but with his ratings, I'm not really expecting him to ever be like a Taylor Walls type guy at the plate. His thing is he's going to make a lot of contact and be able to work his speed. I am very excited to see how he keeps developing here in the big leagues, though. Then there's also Adrian Merced, who had a little bit of a stretch where he was crushing it, but not really overall here in his time in the bigs. Currently on a cold streak, not what you like to see. There's been Jake Bauers, who's been walking, but really not much else, just getting on base. Pavin Smith was really, really hot in AAA, continued that when he first came up to the big leagues, but he unfortunately has been stumbling into the All-Star break here. And then there's Nick Senzel, who's been a bench guy all season. Hasn't been too bad, though. 275 batting average isn't the worst. Serviceable enough player. Kind of interested to see how he would perform if he was the starting center fielder instead of Merced, to be honest. We also have Joe Adell, who's been hitting decently well, rhyming accidentally. Only 4 home runs here on the season, 11 doubles. Would like to see more steals with him as well, with the 95-ish speed I believe he has. 6.2 walk percentage is pathetic. Striking out 25% of the time combined with that also isn't great. Not the worst strikeout percentage you've seen, but definitely not good either. Then there's Austin Barnes, who's actually been a pretty solid backup catcher here for us this season. And then there's Matt Theis, who has barely played, 36 ABs because he's the extra guy on the roster. And MLB The Show makes you choose between either having a reliever who never gets used or a bench player who never gets used because they couldn't possibly code their game to have that in the sim. Instead, they're too busy releasing, let's say, Diamond Dynasty cards 45 minutes after the end of a game. And the funny thing to me is that people who play Diamond Dynasty and all these other card modes and other sports games, they love to act like they're the most oppressed type of gamer, like they're not the one person that these developers care about. But anyways, moving on to the pitching side of things, Nick Lodolo has the most innings pitched here on our staff this season, a 4.58 ERA. Misleading a bit though, as his FIP is a decently solid 3.68, a 10 K per 9 as well, which I never thought is something I would see from Nick Lodolo, but he's been doing it this season, adding in a little bit of a wrinkle here with his strikeout game. I said in a video earlier that he's been turning into this series Colby Allard, and I love that for him. Tyler Mahle has not been great for us, unfortunately. We brought him back on a 2-year deal, and it seems like just every signing we've made this offseason has just been a total flop. While Hunter Green got off to a hot start here in 2024, still been solid, just hasn't been like setting the world on fire like he was very early on in the season. Brandon Williamson has been fine, I guess. Nothing special about him either. Hasn't been the worst, but also not good either. While in the bullpen, Ryan Weathers has been very good. 83 1/3 innings pitched, barely walks anyone, no complaints whatsoever about Weathers. Then we've got Alex Reyes, who's been striking out just a ton of hitters at 11 K per 9, but he's also walking quite a bit of hitters as well with a 7 walks per 9. Maybe settle it down a bit in the second half, my guy. Let me move things on to DeAndre Foster, who's been fine. His rookie season here in the bigs, absolutely love the 1 walk per 9. That's fantastic to see. But it's also strange he's not striking out more guys since he throws 100 miles an hour and he even has a decent K per 9 rating. And as far as Lucas Sims go, he's actually had quite a bit of a bounce-back season here in 2024. Was obviously very bad last year. No complaints about him, really. TJ Antone has been an extremely good setup guy for us this season. A 2 ERA, a mid-3 FIP. Tells me he's got that ground ball working. He's got that bowling ball sinker going good. And then Andrew Chafin, another sinker baller, except from the left side. 4 ERA, but 2 FIP. Basically the opposite of Antone. Probably getting BABIP'd quite a bit. But solid season nonetheless for Chafin. And then there was Jarrett Ross, who was a guy we called up from AAA. Has not been great here in the 5th starter role. Really struggling to find ourselves a guy who can actually perform in that 5th starter spot, who isn't, like an automatic loss, it seems like. Even struggling to find a good 4th starter, because it's not like Williamson's been shoving in that 4th spot either. And then last but not least among the pitchers, there was Seth Elledge. Only 19 innings since being called back up from AAA, but he has been fantastic in those 19 innings. 11 K per 9, 2 walk per 9, 2 FIP flat. Very solid for Seth Elledge. And now we will take a look at the league leaders here. Starting things off with the National League, the highest batting average belongs to Freddie Freeman. He's hitting .349, also leading the National League in hits with 124. The stolen base leader is Trey Turner with 27 swiped bags here at the break. And then the home run leader is Freddie Freeman. He's really, really doing a good job saving baseball. Nothing like a white first baseman who doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, and doesn't swear. Definitely not any racist undertones in that LA Magazine piece. Then there was also JD Martinez, who is third among home runs. He has 27 here at the break. The OPS leader is Freddie Freeman with a 1.100 OPS. Ohtani is also in 4 digits, and then despite Freeman being a first baseman, somehow has the highest WAR at 6.5. On the pitching side of things, starting things off with the saves, is Cody Hoyer of the Cubs with 35 saves. Walker Buehler has a sub-2 ERA, 1.90, leads the league. Also leads at innings pitched with 156. And then the strikeout leader is Jacob deGrom of the Cardinals, and then he also has the highest WAR with a 3.5. Flip things over to the American League side of things now, and at the top of the list here for batting average, you have Alex Bregman, Josh Bell, and Mike Trout, who are hitting .324. You 100% know the media would be really leaning into the second coming of the Killer Bees there, with Bregman and Bell both being from the Astros. I can see it right now. Lots of Fox Sports and Bleacher Report tweets going up right now that some 13-year-old replies not a sport to. Then there was the hits leader, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who is now with the Chicago White Sox, 123 hits here. Miles Straw is the stolen base leader with 22 here at the break. The home run leader is Matt Chapman. He has 29, and he's actually been a fantastic signing for the Angels. He was awful the past 2 seasons in Toronto. Really not good whatsoever, but or at the plate, I should say. Obviously, he's still Gold Glove caliber third baseman, but has not been hitting the past 2 seasons. Goes to Anaheim, or Los Angeles Angels, and already has more home runs this season than he had each of the previous 2 seasons, not combined, but each of them. And he's just all around hitting much better as well. Higher average, higher OBP, higher slugging. Well, the OPS leader in the American League was Mike Trout. Alex Bregman also is in 4 digits with the OPS as well, and then you also have the WAR leader is Mike Trout with a 6 WAR, and then right behind him with a 5.8 is Alex Bregman. Well, on the pitching side of things for the American League, you've got Liam Hendricks of the Houston Astros with 34. Then the ERA leader is the Gonzaga man, Marco Gonzalez of the Mariners with a 1.44 ERA. The innings pitch leader was Shane Bieber. And then the strikeout leader was Lucas Giolito of the Angels with 162. He also has the highest WAR with a 4.1. So now if we take a look at the All-Star teams here, just a quick rundown as it's scrolling by in the National League. The starter was Walker Buehler. You've got Lucas Sims, who's back in the game as a closer. Tyler Stevenson actually having a good season and does not make the All-Star team, yet somehow made the All-Star team last year when he was not having a good season. Devers makes it as his first year as a Rocky. Walls does not make the team. Definitely should have made it over Tim Anderson. And then you have JD Martinez, because they do not have a DH in the All-Star game, is the starter in left field. And then Akil Baddoo makes it as a Marlin. Well, on the American League side of things, Marco Gonzalez was the starter for their side of things. Josh Hader makes it in his first year as a member of the White Sox. Matt Duffy was actually one of the second basemen in the All-Star team. And then you've also got someone named Mike Lopes, who made it as a third baseman despite hitting .232. I'm like 99% sure that's a guy who was drafted at some point during the series. Like, he's not a real player. He was someone who's drafted probably in season 1 and is now up in the big leagues here. And then there's Javi Baez, who is actually the starter at shortstop with 25 home runs here at the break. Doogie out in left field for the Red Sox, and then you have Aaron Judge, a member of the White Sox, out in right field. So now just a little bit of a trade deadline preview here. It's going to be a weird deadline because we are in a wild card spot right now. Obviously, we want to make the playoffs here. We're trying to get into the postseason. Don't want to go out making a couple huge trades here. We're not trying to trade away the whole farm here to really go all in and try to win a World Series here. But we also don't want to be selling off pieces for prospects either. It's not like we're going to go out and try to trade Chafin because he's on a 1-year deal. And the same thing with JD Martinez, obviously. But we are going to look into trading one guy on a 1-year deal in Robbie Grossman, possibly to another wildcard type team, ideally in the American League, just to really open up a spot on the roster, try to get him to a team that could possibly use a corner outfielder on their roster, and maybe he turns it around and helps them make the playoffs while we open up a spot, because right now Grossman isn't even playing for us anyways, and we could get a younger guy up from AAA who's tearing the cover off the ball to come up and be our 4th outfielder instead of Grossman. And then as far as what I'm looking to get for Grossman at the deadline, I mean, nothing major. Maybe like a reliever who can help us, maybe a AAA level player. We also have Max Schrock, who is down in AAA, just absolutely tearing things up down there this season. A 982 OPS. He's got a major boost to all his ratings. He might be worth seeing if we can get something for him at the deadline here. So I just put him on there just to say that we might possibly be looking to trying to get something for him. Obviously it wouldn't be a huge thing, but, something to help us with the stretch down the rest of the season. And then Jose Barrero is still kind of a guy who has a little bit of value. He's got a B potential. He's got some decent ratings, just hasn't really performed with us or in AAA, so he could be like a change of scenery guy. He would never be like the main piece in a trade that we make, but he could be a guy we throw into a deal to be like a sweetener of the pot and possibly be a guy who could, like I said, turn things around with a different organization. And then before we wrap things up here, I do actually want to make a couple roster changes. The first one is we are actually going to be bringing Nolan Jones back up to the big leagues here. He has been tearing the cover off the ball in AAA, has a 934 OPS in 188 at-bats down in Louisville. And we're actually going to be changing his positions to be primary left field and secondary is corner infield. And he's going to be getting some time at first base here in the big leagues. We're also going to be calling up Max Schrock, who we are going to be kind of showing him off here for like 2 weeks and seeing if he can, maybe possibly start tearing the cover off the ball here in AAA or in the majors, or showing off what he can do here. And then at the deadline, we can maybe get something for him, or maybe we decide that we want to keep him and he's going to keep helping us here in the bigs. We sent down Adrian Merced. He's back down to AAA Louisville, as well as Matt Theis. He's going down to AAA. So take a look at the new look lineups here. We've got Nolan Jones, who's playing first base for us. Max Schrock is playing left field. And then Nick Senzel is now the everyday center fielder, while Taylor Walls moves from, I believe it was the 8th or 9th spot that he was in, now up to the leadoff spot, since he's hitting so well this year with the almost 400 OBP. And now that will wrap things up here for this edition of the Cincinnati Reds franchise here in MLB The Show 22. Next episode will actually be another prospect profile, so it won't quite be the trade deadline, but then after that prospect profile will be the trade deadline episode. So with that being said, I've been your host, Jerseyborn, and I am saying, Ron Harper Jr., first round tonight, book it.